Michael, do you want to start by telling us a bit about your role at JLL and the work that you do?
Sure. Thanks for having me. It's been a great day, actually. And I think the most impressive came in the end. I wasn't aware we're doing these kind of things these days. I'm Michael Ewert. I'm with JLL for over 10 years. I'm overseeing our digital professional services in this region. We're having a focus around three things, really. That is software and applications. We're one of the biggest software integrators within real estate. We make around $100 million only in software integration and reselling of real estate software, predominantly EAM, IWMS, CAFM. The other part where I'm most passionate about is really data and analytics. So we have a big team actually here in Warsaw that builds and develops data and analytics solutions for our clients. We have a data science team, and we're now globalizing our approach, and we're also launching a couple of commercial products that will address some of the industry needs. And the last piece is really another passion of mine, which is really smart buildings. And I think when we don't call it smart buildings, we call it smart. So it's really about how do we create an intelligence layer within the building, within the workplace, but also how do we help people interact better with the building, and how do we improve their experience. That's what we do. I think we just launched a product that shall address that experience aspect. So we created something called JLL Labs, which are places around the globe where we co-create products with the likes of Google. And with Google, actually, we just launched a product called Jill, which is an AI assistant that will help our clients' employees to manage space better. So whenever you will need a room and you want to book it, you can basically just talk to Jill, and she'll arrange all amenities, all the facilities you need. But she also makes sure that everyone knows where they have to go, and they have passport accesses or pass accesses into the building they're visiting. So quite an interesting technology that does a lot of back-end integration and is quite differentiating from the current NLP software products that we see in the market, and addresses a real estate need.
Okay. And Emil, thank you for your hospitality today. We're in your wonderful building, although I believe that might be about to change hands, so watch the news for that. But you talked about smart cities and some of the technology and innovation you'd like to see outside of buildings. What are some of the specific sort of tech that you're introducing currently, or that you're looking at for Ghelamco's own projects?
So, do I have better luck with this mic? Yes. So we look on many things. We look on many things. Definitely the big data and the AI. This is really the big deal, and it's hard not to think about it nowadays. This provides you a lot of opportunities really to optimize yourself as well as optimize the human experience. I think that another big deal, not only for the Ghelamco but overall, is the computer vision. It is really the big deal. Different countries and different cities are taking this differently. We all could hear the story about the CCTV cameras in China, where they are claiming that they can identify any person in 30 minutes. Well, that may be just a little bit too much for the Europe, right? But still there is a lot of value in the CCTV cameras. We can improve the safety, we can decrease the cost of the operations. So, and like the city of Łódź, I don't know if you know, but the city of Łódź, I think today is the most advanced city in Poland when it's going about benefiting from the CCTV camera. And they are also using that, or will start using that, to identify if you paid for the parking spot. So they are pretty advanced. That's another big deal for us. And of course, the mobile applications. This is something what we already mentioned. I think many companies are working on such. And the energy, and the energy. I really enjoy the example of the electric car sharing. I just strongly believe that this is the right thing to do.
Absolutely. And on the DMDmodular side, the New York project looks amazingly exciting, and we'd love to see all the stages of that when it starts to ship. How does that compare for a developer looking at that? What's the sort of cost appraisal compared to a conventional build of a hotel tower like that?
I see Marriott, like International Marriott Group in North America. 2 years or 3 years ago, they made a decision to expand the brand in North America using modular technology. So they established some kind of modular program for hospitality. So Marriott is a huge group. So I believe that they spend a lot of money and involving many smart brain to analyze which it doesn't have sense or not to use modular construction in this sector. So as I know from them, and as we can also read in the articles and reports, especially when you work with central parts in the cities like New York, Toronto, New York, let's say, New York State, California, Hong Kong, all these cities which are very expensive to build. So when you really calculate this, and you can save this 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and you can bring the hotel quicker to the guests, it gives you some kind of quicker return of an investment, so and increase your profitability. So that's in this sector it makes sense. In housing sector, maybe not always. It depends, if it's for rentals or for other purposes. But there are many things that you have to take into consideration: the cost of the site, the location, and how much you can really save using the technology. And and one point is also important that they use Polish supplier. They don't build it in US. So it's not only about the cost, but for sure, because our labor costs are lower than in US, but it's also because of the quality. And hospitality requires a very high quality standard. So it's very hard to achieve it in US actually, because there is lack of skilled labor who can really work with high standard quality finishing. So there are a few advantages that they took under consideration to make this decision.
And how many of your workers in Poland are skilled, and how many are unskilled in terms of the factory that you've got for modular?
Excuse me?
Are they advanced jobs? Are they sort of technical skilled jobs, or are they unskilled labor? How does it sort of work in the manufacturing process?
So DMD provides turnkey solution in regards finishing. So in this case, you need very skilled labor to work with finishing.
Right.
And because we work for like 4-5-star brands, and the expectations are very high. So there are some simple works, and actually the important purpose for us as a manufacturing company is to create a system which is simple. So the point is to simplify the process as much as possible. Then you will be able to attract and to involve people with not very high skills. But anyway, at the end, when you really go to the FF&E, you need skilled labor. So you cannot avoid it, for sure.
Okay. And Michael, obviously JLL works with some huge companies all around the world. What are some of the things that clients are agitated about and asking for at the moment?
Right. I think most of our clients still didn't solve basic problems like utilizing space well, optimizing their costs. So those are kind of big topics. But I think a lot of our clients tell us that one of the biggest challenges is to the one hand sustainability. So I think more and more discussions oscillate around circular economy and how real estate can become more sustainable, not only the building, but all the parts and the processes that come to it. So I'm really glad to see modular construction happening, because I think that will be a big enabler. Another one is really cybersecurity. So when we talk about, we heard about IoT clashing into the built environment, and some people say IoT is actually dead. Recently I've heard some people talk about that. But in the end of the day, what we try to achieve is a more productive place where people can optimize their lifestyle. And to allow that, you have to enable technologies that are typically not allowed in a building or in the built environment, or actually protected when we talk about corporate infrastructure. So solving the security aspect of it and solving the humane aspect of it, that people don't feel actually censored or CCTV'd all the time, but actually enabling them with something meaningful in the space, I think, is what clients expect more and more. And I think a good example is, the increasing demand of products. So when people talk about WeWork, they talk about flex space or co-working space. For me, it's about a product. People know what to expect. Similarly, like they know what to expect in Marriott, they know what kind of experiences they can expect in that space. So more and more conversations actually are not really about technology, it's about how do we recreate an experience that is seamless, repeatable, and exciting, and easy to upgrade, and how does technology enable that? And I think that's the conversations I'm seeing more and more, next to the basic ones. My system doesn't work, my data is shit, sorry for pardon my English, and those are the basic issues, but the more interesting issues or challenges are the ones I mentioned.
Okay, your English is very good.
Thank you.
What would be your advice to the tech people in the room of how to sell into real estate? What would be your sort of one piece of takeaway advice for those that are really trying to target that property market? Anyone on the panel? Your buyers?
Maybe I can do the first step. So for me, it would be really helpful if, except talking about the new technology, I could also get the idea of how I can benefit, or how the tenant or the people around the building, about really the true appliance of this technology to change something.
Yeah.
I always say you can only manage what you measure. And it feels to me that any solution has to add some kind of value. And ideally, that's something that you can actually measure. And a lot of ideas I see are great ideas, a great creation of opportunity. But in the end of the day, when you have to scale up and when you have to create a mature product, clients ask us, what's the ROI? What's the return on capital? And if you cannot prove that, you basically don't have a product. So I advise everyone to really think about what their ROI and ROC is, because I think that's crucial. Specifically in real estate, where you have to, run in budgets to make the investment work.
Okay. And so flip it round the other way. What would be your advice to property companies that are just starting their digital transformation and maybe don't know where to begin? How to organize themselves and management and spotting tech ideas. What would be your advice for them to take back to their offices and say, this is how to start, the first step, apart from coming to great events like this? Ewelina, deep in thought.
For me, it would be it's exactly what I said on the presentation. There is a lot of buzz in the media about the technology, but it shouldn't be the point of focus. The point of focus should remain on what do they want to change by this technology.
I think that it's very important at the beginning to be ready for mistakes and to follow intuition, and maybe sometimes not to read too many books. That's my point of view. And not to waste time on reading. Maybe it's more meeting good people and talking to them. And the more mature person, better for discussion, in my opinion. And I think it's very important to be brave and to try and to be open.
Michael, you want to add?
I think there's nothing to add. I think appetite of risk is a question. And also expectation management. I think a lot of property companies expect working solutions, but there are not really that many working solutions at the moment. So in experimentation, being brave, but also I think we saw it on one slide, only because real estate is last, it doesn't mean that there won't be a leap, right? So don't feel cozy and warm where you are just because your business works. It might not in 5 or 10 years. And being aware of that, I think, should trigger thinking and innovation, whatever that means.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions from the audience? Any questions on Slido, if we go to that? A question on modular. What's the biggest barrier to modular taking off more widely? have a go at that.
To take it worldwide.
Yeah,
Yes.
more widely, more
okay.
common.
So for us, the biggest challenge is to meet all the legal requirements, actually. So it's a long preparation stage, and it's also some kind of risk, because you are never sure if it was a good decision, actually. But you have to invest money. You have to go through this. Otherwise, your clients, possible clients, will not continue discussion with you, because you can fall in love in them for some months, but then you have to bring certification. You need to prove that you are ready to work in this particular market. So this is one very serious challenge if you want to work globally. And actually, DMD, this is the strategy, to be everywhere where it's nice. So like we have some list of important cities where we want to have buildings. And but it's not typical, because usually modular construction company work locally on domestic market. So like, I don't know if there is any in UK company who export buildings outside UK, or is there any company in US who export buildings outside US? They even don't export between the states, because the legal requirements are so different. So our concept is quite brave, let's say, but it's possible, but need time. So this is the first thing. Another thing is how to educate the market to make clients feel comfortable with the technology. So this is not only our challenge. I think it's the challenge of every company which has ambition goals, and because we need good examples, because good examples are the best way to get the feeling. Not using 3D views, not using the stories, but really to go to talk to the owner, to see if the building is still, working well after 4 years, 5 years, 7 years. So this is something very important. So good examples, transparency, and these legal requirements, let's say. So.
Okay, brilliant. And a question for all the panel: is Poland doing enough with its neighbours on tech? Should we be doing more? Anybody want to have a stab at that one?
I think it's a tough question, because it says Poland. If we think about Polish businesses that are in the tech sector, I think they are doing a lot of business outside, but I think their role typically is to be a provider of capabilities. But if you look at the 500 fastest growing companies in EMEA, most of the technology companies are actually out of Poland. So there's a huge opportunity for the Polish companies that are in that business to emancipate from just delivering capabilities to a bigger construct, to actually build products and technology that becomes leading in the region or in the industry, in the industries they're in. So I'd encourage everyone to think about that. And I think we can do more there, absolutely. Because if you think about how we compete currently against other countries, it is about enabling a workforce that is technology savvy, but it's also about building mature and sustainable business models that will drive growth in this country.
Yeah. Emil, do you want to add from Ghelamco's point of view? You work in different countries. Is enough cross-work between neighbours?
Yeah, I think that Europe is a tough place to be when it's going about sharing the technology between the countries, because different countries, different regulations. It's way easier to do this on the big scale like the US or China. So the Europe is a little bit challenging, but that's what we have to try basically, is simulating the growth of the technology in Europe is something what will create the more jobs in Europe, more startups, more businesses. And we know from the statistics that comparing that to other countries or continents like the US or China, we are way behind. So I think that it's not easy in Europe. Poland is not the example, but we need to do whatever we can.
Yeah, okay. And somebody asking on Slido, challenging you on what you said about young people. Are you ignoring those that are maybe older or going to live here in the city for years to come?
I think that the second way around. On the presentation, we mentioned the case of the young people, because those were the people who have been asked the very direct question. if they consider, if they are willing to take a credit very frequently and buy the apartment in that city, it doesn't mean that other people doesn't count. If we take the idea of the smart city overall, right? If we take the idea of the smart city, the very common theme is that people are afraid that once someone will be building the smart city, whoever it will be, that there will be a group of the people who will not manage to survive in the city because of the new technology. That should be the second way around. We can talk about the smart city only when we will be engaging and we will be supporting all types of the groups, not only the young people, absolutely not. So, smart city which is not for the people and doesn't matter of the age, but if it's not attractive for the people on all the age, it cannot be called smart. So if we mentioned the young people on the presentation, that's only because they were in the panel and they have been asked a direct question. But when we think on the changing the city, we really need to think across the age. We are also not the youngest one. We don't have 20 years anymore, unfortunately. So we are also, many people here in the building are testing really well and challenging very well many ideas. And we can see in the real life if the ideas are really fitting the need of various groups of people.
Okay, thank you very much for taking that. One final question here. Yeah, we do have a mic coming.
We finished discussion with my old style, manual question.
Yeah.
Questions more about real life. We discuss a lot of time for some smarts, building, innovation, IoT, but we start from downstairs. We start from building. Engineer create good project, represent in the BIM model maybe somewhere, but builders do it daily base. And around us a lot of building where people work. And my question is, you provide something for builders because average age in the construction company grow. These specialists you every time need to invite from other country, from Ukrainian for example, and a lot of people not with low quality of knowledge and skills. What company, Skanska too, where's Skanska?
Anna's left.
What company you really do for builders? How company manage all this old school process and then you build something? Because when we finish this project, we can successfully discuss about the smart, etc. But when we grow, we spend a lot of time and and you see your slides, when we delay, and it's amazing loss for construction company. What you do in this side?
I'm not sure if I'm the best company to answer that because we don't have this construction department so well developed. So I think that there will be better companies to answer this question. But I think that the technology, you're asking about the construction tech, right? Precisely, and how the technology can help in this. So I think that the BIM and being the efficient in the process is a big thing when it's going about how people are working, how hard they have to work to build something, and that's just one of the examples. Another example is the safety becomes extremely important. I don't know if we remember the times, but the safety wasn't the case so much a few years ago. Now the time has changed. Now the priority on the safety, it's really the number one. Take a note, you probably know, but take a note that we had a huge fire on one of the construction 2 weeks ago, right? Huge fire, who saw it? Was it huge? Yeah. How many people get hurt? 0, right? But it's also because we really care about the security. And we really need to be aware of how to make people work, as well as how to make people to take care about the building during the construction, that in case of the unexpected situation, like we can say that it was super unexpected, nobody get hurt, right? So again, I'm not sure if I'm the best company to answer because the construction is not so well developed, but even me, I can really feel that there is a huge pressure to improve. I don't know if we are doing enough, but there's absolutely the huge pressure to improve the quality of the working. I will tell you even more. That's something what we need to do because the competition on the construction market is so tough. It's not only that we need to get the people from other countries than Poland because in Poland there is no employees, but nowadays there are other markets which are frequently paying better and are right now doing the huge construction like the Czech Republic. So the competition about the employee is bigger than ever. Only by providing the good working condition, by providing the safety, by competitive salary, but by the good atmosphere, that's the only way to really fight for the people, if I can say it this way.
Okay.
Or offer them the work where there is no rain, no snow.
Come on, look on the weather.
No, what I wanted to say, we see that there are many employees who want to work with us because they want to finish work and go to their family to have dinner together. And so working with a manufacturing company gives some kind of guarantee that you don't have to move from one side to another side, live in some poor container and miss your family. And so this is some kind of quality of life, and they even earn less than in the construction site, to be honest, but they have this quality. And this is something very important that the people looking for this, they want to have it. They want to be in some way, they're also searching for the happiness, let's say. So it's good to work with happy people. You know? So, and another point is what is very important, comparing conventional construction to modular, is that there is a learning process. So like general contractors work usually like this, that they have many different sites and they move people from one side using different subcontractors. So there is actually no, from my point of view, no learning process. So the same people or different combination, they start in the same way another place. So in the production, you control this. So you have processes, you have this quality system. So actually people are in the working, in a learning process all the time. So if they start another building, another guest rooms, or even for another country, but still the same facility, they're already have higher experience, they have already knowledge from the past. So I think this is very important also, and you, in this case, you are also more efficient. And regarding safety, absolutely, you can build high-rise, which is on the one floor. So you know, there is a like taking under consideration reports which compare conventional and modular technology. There is a very low risk of any accidents when you work with the modular system in the facility. Of course, then you have to assemble. So anyway, you have to deal with these challenges. But anyway, it's just very limited time. And in the construction facility, it's a very safe and clean environment to work with.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Something that we can continue afterwards at a conversation that can run and run. Please join me in thanking our panelists for a great panel there. Thank you. Thanks to all our speakers who've given their time to contribute today. I hope you've enjoyed it and found it useful. Thanks again to Pavel and Link Leaders for organising this with us in Warsaw today. These events take place around Europe every 3 months. You can join us for our next Trend Talk in London in September. Please check out our website, placetech.net, for details. We'd love to see you there. Our wonderful PlaceTech partners will be there too. Thanks again to Node, to Mills and Reeve, and to Future PropTech. Thank you all for coming. I hope you take away some brilliant insight on all things PropTech. And please watch out on the website and the free weekly newsletter for the write-up and video from today. You might see yourselves on there. And we also want to make our events the best they can possibly be, and we'll be sending out a feedback survey on email shortly after this event. Please do take the time to fill in and tell us how you found today and any ways that we can improve. Thanks again to our speakers and panelists. I've been Paul Unger, editor of PlaceTech, and join me for lunch after this. Thank you.